Okay, time to get a head start on all the hot topics everyone will be talking about this weekend. Lindsay Lohan's $100 million lawsuit against E-Trade, Congressman Patrick Kennedy's broadside against the national press over that Eric Massa mess, and this newest futures market betting on the box office. Here to weigh in on all that, Tina Brown, founder of thedailybeast.com. Christie Hefner, you ran Playboy Enterprises for what, 26 years?
Yep.
Wow, long time. And Republican strategist, Morning Mix regular, Kevin Madden. Thanks very much. Let's start out. Congressman Eric Massa, the man who was forced to resign from Congress this week over some harassment allegations. He did not go quietly, went on Glenn Beck for a full hour, Larry King Live as well, and then was forced to, there was a vote yesterday in the Congress forcing this to be investigated again, some complaints that Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker, covered up this mess. This has got Patrick Kennedy, Congressman Patrick Kennedy, irate. Watch him on the House floor just a couple days ago.
The President of the United States is not covering the most significant issue of national importance, and that's the laying of lives down in the nation for the service of our country. It's despicable, the National Press Corps right now.
Too much time on Eric Massa?
Wow, well, yes, certainly too much time on Eric Massa. Of course, the great thing about Eric Massa, the great question, actually, David Gergen asked it the other night, is does he need media help or does he need mental help? I mean, the guy is, it's like a slow-moving car crash on every single TV show he's on.
It's sad.
It's very sad. I mean, at this point, every time he comes on, I want someone to go and, take him home and give him a nice cup of tea. But Patrick Kennedy's outburst, actually, I was sympathetic because he did it amazingly. In fact, give him a TV show is all I say.
Well, with the doff of the hat to Tina, I mean, the media is a hungry beast. So it was true when we just had 24/7 cable. It's certainly true with the internet. So we have a kind of attention deficit disorder media that's going to glom onto cases like that. But I also think, to be fair to the media, the decision whether or not to send troops to Afghanistan was very substantively covered over those periods of deliberation in the White House. So it's a little disingenuous to suggest that that story and the substance of that story has not been probed.
That debate that he was talking about was on a resolution to pull out all the troops,
yes,
which had very, very little support in the House. But right now, what you did see yesterday in the House, Kevin, is this move by the House Republicans to investigate again because they say the Democratic leadership should have known about this, knew something about it, but didn't follow up.
This is all the shades of 2006 when I worked up on Capitol Hill during the whole Mark Foley scandal. And it's a classic Washington question. What did the House leadership know and when did they know it? So, I think what you're seeing here is obviously a lot of politics at play, but there is it's also emblematic of what is wrong with Washington, is that here we have something as simple as misconduct by a congressman not having adequate attention paid to it by House leadership. And if they can't do that right, what can they do right? So I think there is a certain, important news edge to this beyond all the theatrics that Eric Massa continues to feed with his interview round robin.
But to your point about what's wrong with Washington, I actually thought the most thoughtful thing that Massa said on the Glenn Beck show was in response to the question about, well, what would you fix? And he started talking about campaign finance reform. And he was actually very thoughtful on it. So if you really were serious, no, but if you're really serious about trying to fix it, we'd be having a substantive conversation about redistricting and campaign financing.
And it's hard to pay attention to that after all that talk about tickle fights.
Right.
That
was the right context.
But don't you think that Kennedy's eruption, though, represented a decent kind of frustration overall? I think that it was
from the heart.
From the heart, because I just think that it's so hard to keep anybody's attention span on anything for long.
No, you're right.
And this whole Massa thing now is derailing things. I mean, there's healthcare and jobs and Afghanistan, and everybody's on Massa.
Well, but except that most of the studies have shown that there has been flood of coverage of healthcare, of all the substantive
The front page
issues.
of the New York Times today has an article about Iraq. It's not as if it's not being covered, right? And there's elections going on this week. But again, I think Tina's right. There's this frustration out there right now that this is not what is important. You have all the economic anxieties, you have the anxiety about conflicts overseas, and that this is what people are focused on.
So with all these big problems, let's go talk about Lindsay Lohan.
To make the point.
Right, exactly right. Suing E-Trade for $100 million over this commercial. She says that E-Trade was making fun of her.
That's volatility in the market, taken care of, wolf style. Oh, oh, oh!
And that milkaholic Lindsay wasn't over?
Lindsay?
Milk what?
She have a case?
Absolutely not. I mean, Lindsay. The only thing that Lindsay's got in common with this baby is an addictive personality, as far as I can see, to publicity. Actually, this is insane. She's inserted herself into this commercial. I guess you could say it's kind of brilliant what she's done, because now we're all talking about Lindsay Lohan. It's, of course, wonderful for E-Trade.
I don't know, if I were the CEO of E-Trade, I'd be sending her flowers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, having spent my life in a situation like Tina, where you're dealing with libel law and right of publicity law, there is no case here. And actually, I'll be surprised if somebody doesn't now start creating online parodies of this that really link her more directly to it. So
there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? I mean,
that apparently is the theory.
$100 million. $100 million. So the next time I see a commercial with the name Kevin, I got to at least get like 50 grand.
Oh, I think
at least like 50 grand, right?
Now, what she says, her lawyer pulled out these notes they had of the inside gray advertising when they were making it, showing that they actually, the kid had another name at first, and they crossed it out, Deborah, and then made it Lindsay.
But it really is taking narcissism to a sort of cosmic level, isn't it? Okay, I mean, are we all sitting here watching every commercial to hear when our Christian names come up and start leaping for our lawyer?
But do you think this, well, does she have a mental problem, narcissism, or is this a pure PR ploy?
Could be a little bit of both. I mean, the narcissism has worked extremely well for her PR, let's face it. So I think it's something of both. I don't know. I tend to think it's kind of a shrewd move, actually. I think that, you know, inserting yourself into a controversy like this right now is probably the only way you can break through the noise.
And she's been very public about having an addictive personality, to your point. So it's sort of like, and the problem here would be what?
Okay, so you're the expert. Give her a comeback strategy for Lindsay Lohan if this isn't it.
Lindsay Lohan, a comeback strategy? I don't know. Start suing every single time that you are, or Lindsay.com, like go out there and do some cyber squatting, try and get some money.
I say make a good record, you know, like get a hit.
Right.
Okay, that's the best comeback for her.
That's right. I think she does need. I think she needs a great movie to come back on. You can weigh in on what Lindsay Lohan should do on our shout-out board at our website, abcnews.com.